Greetings. I just thought I would pop on here real quick today because I had a few questions that have been asking me several times by subscribers that I thought it might be easier to just answer in a video so that if anybody else had the same questions, I wouldn't have to keep repeating myself. I have to say that if you have sent me a question and I have not answered you, I am very sorry. What happens if you send me a question through YouTube is it eventually, if you send me as a message, it'll eventually go into an email account which is absolutely full of spam, which I rarely use because there's so much spam in there. Things get lost really easily. I do have another email account, which I will try to put it below here. Good Wife, same name as the channel, GUIDWIFE @Coxnet. And that is the email that I use for linking with my PayPal account. So if you have any orders or anything through PayPal, like things that you see at my website, whatever, that is the email address I use. So I really check that often. So if you really want to get a message to me or ask me a question, send me an email to goodwife@Coxnet if you can, rather than comments. I try to read these comments below, but if you have your own channel, when you're notified of questions, but you're also notified of everything that you have subscribed to, anything they do, anything. So even that list is very, very long to read through. So I appreciate your commenting below always, but again, if you have a specific question or a need from me or want to order something or whatever, email me at goodwife@Coxnet, or you can reach me on Facebook through my Bird in the Crown page there. Okay. I have had several people also ask me about mentorship or apprenticing, which I'm very flattered that you might want to learn from me. I don't know what I have to teach. I don't do any formal apprenticing program or mentoring program. I'm available to anyone at any time if you have a question. If I can help you in any way, I'm very happy to help or answer. Don't think you're bothering me. You're not. I love talking to you if I can. If you had a lot of questions, we maybe can set up something like on YouTube, on Skype, or perhaps through FaceTime, I don't know. Something like that. Of course, if you are local to Southern California, or you're in Southern California, you're always welcome to look me up. I'd love to meet you in person. So I'm always open to suggestions. It's just a little difficult. Emailing is a little tricky for me sometimes. I'm really not too good at it because I have to weed through so much stuff. But anyway, I hope that it helps a little bit. But I'd love to have your questions, and I'd love to answer. I'm, of course, not an expert. There are other people that are much more expert than I am. But I'm happy to tell you what my opinion is, or what I do think I know. As far as things on my website for sale, or things you think you see for sale, my website, birdinthecrone.com, is in terrific need of updating. I'm very bad at getting things up, particularly on my cover page, which are the items for sale. The reason is kind of simple. While I do sell things, that's not my focus. My focus is not a commerce. This is not a commerce for me. This is my life, and so that's really not my. It's not my. It's not my. It's not my. Well, it's not the most important thing. Let's just say it's not the most important thing to me. If you see, of course, I do sell tarot readings on the tarot page, all different kinds, and sometimes at certain times of the year I have special readings. But if you just want a general reading or whatever, and you don't see what's there, again, goodwife@Coxnet, and I will give you a price. I'll tell you what I can do for you, and we can figure out how we want to do it, whether we want to do it over Skype or an unlisted YouTube video or whatever. I don't do email readings. I like to speak. I like to speak my reading. I don't like to type my reading. But anyway, if you see something that I have mentioned, like I have, you know, that you see me, like a lot of people ask about the bracelets. Well, yes, I absolutely will sell bracelets. I will absolutely make you bracelets. I don't really have them on the on my website because something like that would be made to order, and for prices, it's hard to tell. So you need to inquire. I did have someone inquire about a citrine bracelet, like this one that I wore. I've worn this one. And right now it's going for $18 plus shipping, so it would be $18 plus, I don't know, I would say $7 shipping, because I usually use the Priority Mail boxes. I like the Priority Mail boxes because I can put a lot of stuff in one. So if you order a lot of stuff, you get a good shipment price. But anyway, it depends on the stone. Sometimes stones are easier available. I have a good, if I can find stones, like if I get, you know, if I could get a good price myself, I would pass on a good price to you. Sometimes certain things are hard for my suppliers to get, and so therefore the price goes up. Like right now, there's a little bit of an issue with getting amber, my amber stones. I wear a lot of amber. Some of that was a little more expensive for what I wanted. So anyway, you just have to inquire. Okay? But again, if you don't see it, like, yes, I have the daughter for sale, and I did show it on another video. I don't have it with me, but I still have some available. A bag, it's about, you know, the same size that I sell my incense blends, the bigger ones. I think they're 4 ounces. But I'm selling that bag of daughter for $9 plus shipping. And again, if you wanted it in with something else in there, you pay for. And PayPal is set up for that. And if it's something that I make the pricing of myself, if it's not on PayPal, I will take that into consideration if you want different things. Okay. So that's pretty much that. I don't want to do a commercial, but again, I'm saying the reason I'm a little behind on that is it's not my priority, is my shop. My priority is, you know, is when I make it for myself, I understand other people want it, I might make it for them too. Like, that's how I have sold things in the past. That's why they're there sometimes they're not. Always inquire, always ask. I'm very, very happy to do what I can for you. Okay, enough of that one. Another question I get a lot is recommendation for books. Particularly people who are starting out new to the craft, or new into paganism, new into whatever. Remembering I'm not Wiccan. But I'm familiar, you know, I am familiar a lot with Wicca. I have practiced, had shared rituals with Wiccans and things. So I am recommending books to you that are not so far afield. If you want to go down the path of Wicca, of course you would want to hook up with somebody who is Wiccan. But the books that I wanted to recommend for somebody beginning, I didn't really want to make a decision for you what path you're going in. So this is very general recommendations that I had. The first one that I had, I've recommended this one before in an earlier video because it's really a very good reference book. Basic reference book. It's Grimoire for the Green Witch by Anne Moura, M-O-U-R-A. I'm sure it's available to purchase in a lot of places. I check on Amazon. What I like about the book for a beginner, even though it says for the Green Witch, you might not consider yourself a Green Witch. I don't know if I consider myself a Green Witch. I'm kind of green, but I don't know if that's what I call myself. But the reason I like it is because the more I look at it, even after spending several years, like I said, sharing ritual with Wiccans, open rituals with Wiccans, or people that, in other places where people are of different, under different deities and things like that, like at pagan pride festivals, those kind of things where you have open rituals. I've never really seen anything really in this book that is so contrary that you wouldn't fit in. So if you just read this as a very general beginning knowledge book, it would really give you a good insight into what goes on. It has a lot of things in here. It has, of course, in the beginning is a lot of, the philosophies of a green witch, etc. But it gets really quickly into things like, the Wheel of the Year, the Sabbaths of the Wheel of the Year. It talks about that. It talks about the quarters and cross quarter days, which would be some people only celebrate the Yule of Saralitha Mabon. Others, those are the quarters. Others also celebrate the cross quarters, which are Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, or Lughnasadh. I'm probably backwards. Most people, I think, if you only do part of the year, you would do the cross quarter days first. Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lughnasadh, or Lammas, which I call. Yule, Ostaralitha, Mabon, which have to do with the equinoxes and the solstices. Some people don't even prescribe to that, but it just, at least you know that they're there, okay? It talks about also different signs for things, symbols for things. If you need to know like astrological signs, what they mean, because you see those abbreviations. Basic tools or materials that anybody practicing the craft would use. Setting up an altar. Definitions of all kinds of terms. Opening a circle, cakes and wine, things that you would find if you would go to any kind of an open ritual. You don't have to belong to a coven in order to celebrate ritual. You can of course do it yourself, but there are a lot of places, like I said, where you will find open rituals. Look, do a Google near where you live. Like here I did them, I don't know how I found them, but it was through a temple, a local temple, which a Wiccan group rented out every month and held ritual there, public ritual. It was open for anyone. A lot of those people were going through their program, their year-to-day program or whatever they were going through, first class, whatever, however they classify themselves as Wiccan. Some of them were involved in that, and that was a learning tool for them, but they were open for everybody. And about at least half or more of the people attending those rituals were not Wiccan. They were just people like myself coming in to share the ritual. I've seen other places, sometimes if you find a shop nearby where you buy supplies, where you buy your candles, and you can have tarot readings, those kind of shops, whatever you want to title them. Often they will hold rituals at least at, several a year. They might hold there's one here not too far from us that has drum circles every month, those kind of things. So if you want to go to those things, they're wonderful for you when you're new, to see, to meet some other people and also to see some things. But I understand that you don't want to go blind, so a book like this really lets you know what kind of things maybe to expect. Calling the quarters. Okay, it has about Esbats. If you want to work with the moon, it talks to you about Esbats. And then there's some sample rituals in here for the Sabbats. Just samples. There's also some information. You're drawing down the moon, these kind of things, cleansing tools, different things like that. And then it has, in the back, spell crafting stuff and correspondences. Okay. Teaching you how to do some spell crafting things. Also talking to you about essential oils, planetary associations, zodiac associations, runes, all kinds of things, stones and crystals, just basic information. Again, it's a good reference book to go to all the time. Okay, so that's one for beginners. It's good for anybody to have, I guess. Another one that's really good for beginners to have, I just picked 3 because I didn't want to duck too many. I'm not really that, I have a good bit of books. I'm not really book witchy, though. Book witchy. I don't know what that means. But I do like to have books like anybody else. I love books. So, if you're interested in following the moon, not everybody does, but if you're interested in, knowing what kind of things to do at what time, at what moon, Like if it's a full moon, what kind of things would I do at a full moon, or what kind of things would I do at a when the moon is waxing, the moon is waning, or at a new moon, whatever. It has some information. This is called Everyday Moon Magic by Dorothy Morrison. It says spells and rituals for abundant living. I don't know. I haven't really. If you were looking for spells, you could use some of these in here. Excuse me. It would give you a good idea of how to write a spell or make up a spell. Excuse me, of your very own. But if you don't feel confident enough to do that, there's a good place to start. Use some simple things. What kind of spells would you want to do? You might want to do a health or healing spell to ensure good health. Here at a waxing moon. Very simple. Here's one, using a glass of water. That's all you need. If you want to sell your house, here's a simple spell using a green candle, a match, a sheet of white paper, a hair from a family pet or your own hair, one small feather, purple ribbon or yarn, and water. Very simple little spell. So it gives you an idea of how maybe to set up a spell. If you're very new to that and you don't have the confidence, good examples here. And again, also good information on the moons. Finally, the last book that I'm recommending, again, to new people. This is one, I'm not even sure how I have this book. It's relatively pretty new. I don't remember buying it. I don't know why I have it, to be honest. But I just found myself looking at it the other day, actually. And it's a pretty interesting book for a real general kind of book. It's called Magical Housekeeping by Tess Whitehurst, Whitehurst. Just a simple little book, simple charms and practical tips for creating a harmonious home. This is real cool for just little in your house. It has in the beginning of the book setting up things about cleaning your house and getting rid of clutter, and of course it would have ideas about smudging and those kind of things, what you wanted to use while you want to cleanse your house, cleanse your space. Cleansing, when you're going to do anything, you always want to have your space prepared. So this has some good kind of tips in that. It also has what I loved, because somebody asked me a question about this, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But it has, I think I am, if I can find my paper. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut and go get it. But anyway, it has a chapter called The 3 Secrets Empowerment, where it talks about ways of actually, to raise your energy, to raise energy through gesture. It talks about mudras, the positions of the hands and things, vocalization and visualization, what to expect. So if you want to manifest something, of course we know you have to be able to visualize it. It's a way of raising energy. It's another way of raising energy. And one of the ways of vocalization is raising through affirmations and rhymes, which is really, really an important thing for me. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. Then there's a section that goes on into gemstones, just basic knowledge. Now, if you want a book on gemstones, you see, what I like about books like this is it gives you an introduction. It gives you a good example of a handful of let's say, gemstones. In this case, it is talking about amethyst, angelite, some others, whatever, citrine, which I just talked about, garnet, etc. There's, I don't know how many pages. There's a whole chapter. Agates, moonstone, obsidian, rose quartz. A lot of the ones that you find really common, but there's 20 pages, something like 20 pages of information about different stones. Now, if you find yourself really interested in stones, then you can go from here and getting another book. If you find this is enough information, you'll just use this. If you find you're not interested, you haven't spent money on another book. It talks about a chapter on fairies and angels and other things around other lives around us. It talks about goddesses and gods and plants and animals, animal allies, and then of course using incenses and smudges and oils. So again, candle burning for different intentions. A little more, we saw this in here. We saw it in here generally, but this is a little more, bringing it home, like really making it more, instead of taking it out of the textbook and putting it in the house, is what it is. It's a practical use, which I like it. That's why I like it. It's called housekeeping, because it's actually what you would be doing in your home. Okay, so those were just 3 books. I don't know. There's a lot more. Other people who have more books probably can give you better lists than I do. Don't get too caught up in the book. Use the books to suggest. The books will give you ideas, suggest something. Okay, I just have 2 more points real quick, and before I get to the second one, I have to cut because I have to go get something I wanted to share. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Another question that I get more often than I would have thought I would have gotten it is about spell work, particularly most often it is from people who have come from a Christian background, which I have. And they're having some difficulty being assertive in their spell work. I think it comes from that Christian guilt thing about, don't pray for bicycles, don't ask for things that you really don't deserve, those kind of things. Well, I want to say that I've said before in one of my earlier videos, to me, there's a big difference between praying and doing a spell. I do both, pray and do spells. But when you do a spell, is what we're talking about here, where you need to be assertive, where you need to ask for, you have to say what you want to ask for. The reason you have to do that, you can't get what, if the universe or whatever it is you're putting this intention out in doesn't know what your intention is, you can't get it. Think about a baby. If you've been around a baby, you've been a mother, or you've had a brother or sister, and you've been babysitting, and the baby's crying and crying and whining and crying, and you get exasperated because you do not know what it is that baby wants, and you find yourself saying, "Oh, if you could only tell me what you want." I do that with my dogs, and I do that with my cats. Like, what is it that you want? I can't help you if you can't tell me. It's the same kind of thing. If you cannot put your intention into words and say what it is you want to happen, it cannot happen. That's a really, really important part of it. So, to be assertive, if you are having trouble being assertive, perhaps it is because you don't know what you want. Or maybe you do realize you're asking for too much. If you're putting a spell to ask for $1 million, your heart really isn't into that, is it? Because you know you don't need $1 million. And that's really not what you're asking for. But you're going for the moon, right? I might as well ask for it all. No, you ask for only what you need. If it is really what you need, that is what you ask for. And if it is the truth, you will not have any problem being assertive. One thing I do, I love rhymes. I've said this in the past. I love brief. I like to take a little time and compose a rhyme, a small rhyme. The reason it rhymes for me is because it's easier for me to remember if it rhymes. Okay? And I want something that I can remember. Because remember, when I do this, I'm raising power. If I'm going to do something, if I'm going to light, and this is what I want to show you. It's usually the clowns, right? This time we had an airplane. I keep little index cards when I write my intention, my words of intention, or if you want to call it a spell, on them, and I keep them local to where I need them. For instance, now not a lot of times you're going to write a new spell, but for them, some things I use over and over again. Like I have an altar where I light candles. I showed you before, my healing altar, and I have several of these cards in the drawer, specific for certain things, for certain people, or for certain one sort of people specific. This one is animal specific. The first one I did this for it's for, and this is what I usually do. I have a candle, usually St. Francis candle, that I will light. I have several things I do. I put some oil on it and things, but I also, usually, if it's for a cat particularly, I will drop in the flame, I will drop a little bit of, just me. This is just what I think works for me. I will drop a cat claw into the flame to increase it, and so usually a little bit of catnip also into the flame, just a little tiny bit into the flame. And then over the flame, I have this little rhyme. And what I say is, magical herb of leaf and flower. Right? Give this candle healing power. Let all sickness from, fill in the blank of the pet, flee when it burns. So mote it be. Very, very simple little intention. It's exactly what I want. I've got a sick animal. I want my animal to get well. Now, if it were a dog, I would change it probably a little bit to use something that is more appropriate for a dog, or for a chicken, or for whatever. Excuse me a minute. Dogs. The dogs are getting into the sweet potatoes. What? He was digging something under the sweet potatoes. Okay. Okay, anyway, I keep it, it's very simple, as you can see. You say it, I put it down, I can put it down beside where I'm lighting the candle, and I can, while I'm raising the energy, after saying it, I look in a couple of times saying it, but after saying it once or twice, I can remember it. So then I can just say it with more and more intention, raising the energy, saying over again, over and over again, until I can feel the intention, the energy rising, so I can feel my intention going out. That's what we're talking about. Okay? This is just a little crutch. It just helps me. I don't have to get caught up on a whole lot of words. If I really know what I want, put it down in little simple things. It doesn't have to rhyme. It could be something as simple as, please bring, your home is all crazy. Please bring peace to my home. Please bring peace. Bring peace to my home. Whatever you want to say. Whatever it is you want, say that. But it has to be real. But again, the more specific you can be, the better. Okay? I named the cat who was sick. It's not just, I'm not just saying, oh, I hope all my cats are going to be well. No. This is for a specific intention, and that's what I do for this specific intention. For some other specific intention, I do something else. Okay? All right. Just thought I would share that little tip. I keep this, I keep it in a little drawer, because that altar just happens to have little drawers where I have candles and things underneath it. But if it doesn't, like maybe under the cloth where the altar is, or under the dish where the candle sits, the one that we used to say every day, in our office, we used to say an intention every day, light a candle for our business, for prosperity in our business, until we let cobwebs grow on it. But we had that just under the dish, so that if we forgot what the word was, we could get it out and look again and say it. So that's just a convenience that I thought I would share. Okay, one more. I don't want to make this too long of a video. But one more. I had a tarot question. Somebody asked me, a couple of people have asked me, everybody's struggling the same way all the time to learn tarot cards. And it's funny that I just pulled the top card off of this deck, and it happens to be the Fool. I'm not sure why. I didn't shuffle, but that's kind of interesting. They said, read what I see instead of the typical meaning. In other words, can I see what I see in the card? First of all, yes. Most of the time, the meanings of the card are and especially something like the Rider-Waite, you can pretty much see the meaning if you look in the card. Generally, the meaning for the Fool is talking about a new opportunity. Starting out on a new adventure. That's exactly what the Fool is doing. So something new coming. It's the beginning of a journey. We see the Fool, standing at the parapet there. We don't know what's below him. Is he not even looking? He could trip or fall, and the little dog could be warning him, or the little dog could be sort of leading him over the edge, or, there's always a question about what he's carrying. He's carrying a knapsack. He thinks he's prepared, but is he prepared? How long can he survive with that little knapsack? No. There's to be some kind of help, those kind of things. There's all kinds of symbols in the card itself. And usually the meaning is wrapped up in that. Okay? But sometimes it's not so simple. Sometimes the card really doesn't give you much in the picture, so you do have to have some kind of general knowledge of the card helps. That's why a lot of people recommend that you use something like the Rider-Waite to begin with, only because you become very familiar with the symbols of the card. For instance, here's another one I take out. The Empress. The Empress is all about harvesting, reaping what you sow, all about it's coming to pass. Most of the time she's depicted as a pregnant woman. So eventually she's going to get to see that baby, right? It's eventually going to come out. Fulfillment in time of what she is asking for. That's very evident kind of in the picture. But now, the reason that we don't usually pull one card, I've sort of tried to say this a little bit in my tarot little lessons that I've been pointing out. The reason we don't usually pull one card is because it's easier to read if you have cards. How are they relating to the other cards in the spread? How are they reacting to the other cards in the spread? And if you haven't seen my little tarot posts, look down and have it as a playlist. Look at some of those. I'm going to be adding some more to them soon. But it's just to give you an idea, because the meaning, yes, usually is different because of where the card is in the spread, how it is relating to the cards surrounding it, those kind of things. So yes, you can read what you see in the picture, but having some kind of a basic knowledge is really good. A basic understanding is really good, not just reading what you see. If I'm just going to read what I see in this one, this is the Sun card. Okay. If I just read what I see in the picture of the Sun card, well, the sun's going to come out and the flowers are going to grow. I see growing flowers. I see a naked person. Somebody's going to be naked, or they might be a horse. It might be something like of a parade, because there's a horse. It might be a parade of naked babies on a sunny day. I'm being silly. I am being silly. But you see what I mean? You have to have some kind of, these things stand for something. It's similar. It's like reading poetry in high school. The poem really never says what you think it says. There's always a little bit more to it. It's a nice poem on its own. This is a nice card on its own, but the card on itself needs a little bit more. What does it symbolize? Okay? Things are really clear. There's a lot of clarity in the situation. The sun is out and very bright, and you can see really easily. Okay? There's no inhibitions in here. Letting go, being free, absolutely free. There's, a naked being free and being proud. Whatever you see is okay. But knowing the basic is really important. Okay. So what I'm doing is, I was going to issue a challenge to people to try to say that, not every reading is going to be the same, but that's okay. Every person. Instead, I'm going to focus on my own cards. And I'm going to make a challenge to the people that are, I'm going to make a promise to the people that are trying to learn to read tarot cards, who are a little nervous. You know, I don't necessarily set myself up as a teacher of tarot. I think there are probably other ones who are maybe better teachers than me. I'm happy to teach if somebody wants to learn. But I want to say that for me, I'm going through the same struggle. I've been reading my Hoi Polloi deck that's for quite a long time, which is very close to the Rider-Waite. And I've just recently said that I wanted to become more familiar with the Wildwood Tarot, that I'm just starting to really resonate with this deck. So I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to be doing this thing coming up. I'm going to start this weekend. Every weekend. I'm going to try to do it about every weekend. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to do what people ask us all the time to do is a little later. I'm going to do a 3-card draw. 3-card reading. Just put 3 cards out. And I'm going to study the images. I'm going to look for what energies these images are talking to me about. And you'll see, because I'm going to do a little video about it and show you next what I mean. And then I'm going to come back and revisit and see what will the cards tell me. That is the best way to get to know your cards, to use your cards to see them. That's why people say, pull some cards every day and just leave them there throughout the day and see what happens. Well, for me, I can't do it in the day every day. So for me, I'm going to do it on the weekend. I'm going to just say, sometime during the weekend, I can check on these 3 cards and see what the energy is going to be. So stay tuned. I'm going to do that video in a little while with a little more explanation. Okay, so I hope I answered a couple of your questions. I didn't want to get too long-winded. You know, if you've been watching me at all, you know I kind of do anyway. But I'm happy to answer questions. I hope this is a satisfactory way to answer them, because it's so much easier for me than to try to email you. But again, if you need to get in touch with me, goodwife@cox.net is the way to do it. And if I can help you in another way or answer any of your questions, just please let me know. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming to my channel. I am so, so blessed that I have so many people that are really wanting to come and hear what I have to say. And that makes me real excited. Anyway, okay? So anyway, I am the good wife, Rebecca. And as always, I wish blessings.